104.9 Coyote Country. Good morning. Robert Miguel here with you. Time again for another edition of Fanboy Friday. And with me, as always, checking in from Dallas, Texas, professional Q&A moderator and speaker, film critic at bigfanboy.com, and the show director at Dallas Comic Show, the one, the only Jedi Master himself, Mark Walters.
Well, thank you, Robert. How's it going?
The Force is strong in this one. How you doing, man? It's May the 4th be with you, dude. Awesome.
Right. How is it that Lucasfilm did not schedule Solo to open this weekend? That's what I want to know.
You know what? I've actually been asked that a couple of times. I can only think that maybe it's just that they have to follow that movie release law that says you got to put out a movie Memorial Weekend. I
think it's probably more the fact that since Disney now owns both Marvel and Star Wars, they probably figured that Avengers was the more important film to release, and so they basically said, well, we're not going to release two movies on the same weekend. Because as you recall, Avengers was originally supposed to be this weekend, not last week.
Maybe so. Well, anyway, you know, it's a good day for Star Wars fans. Also, a happy belated birthday. Very cool. Mark Walters.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Okay, now you're just getting creepy.
Well, man, so your birthday was a couple of days ago. How did you celebrate?
Well, I wish I could tell you I did something exciting, but what I ended up doing was one of our local Alamo Drafthouse Theater locations. There was a brand new location that opened up in Las Colinas, and it just so happened that May 1st, which is my birthday, was their grand opening, kind of their celebration that evening. So I just ended up going to that. I went and had a nice dinner with my mom, and then I ended up going to the grand opening of that new Alamo Drafthouse, and I saw Avengers for a second time with a friend of mine.
Yes.
And that was it. It was kind of it really wasn't a very eventful day, but you know how it is, Robert. When you get older, it's like the idea of trying to plan like a birthday party or anything, it's kind of like, oh, I'm tired. I just want to like relax and have dinner and watch a movie, and that's pretty much exactly what I did.
And there's nothing wrong with that, man. No shame in that game. If it's a fun time and you're doing what you love with people you love, then hey, man, everybody wins. Very cool. Well, happy birthday to you, man. I really appreciate you as a friend and, you know, as a co-host here on this thing. So I wish you the best. God bless you, brother. I love you so much, man. So happy birthday.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Now, I don't know if you received it or not yet, but we sent you the first official ever of all time limited edition Fanboy Friday with Mark Walters t-shirt. So if you haven't got it yet, it's in the mail, buddy. So happy birthday. Very cool.
Very excited about that. Yeah, thank you.
So as soon as you get it, be sure and pop it on and take a selfie, all right?
I will.
All right, so I know you've seen the new movie that's out in theaters this weekend, Overboard. Now, I'm really excited about this one, but since it's your birthday, I want you to actually, let's talk about some of your favorite movies, man. Let's let the listeners get to know Mark Walters and what makes you tick as far as these movies that you love the most. What you got?
Well, I would say my favorite movie of all time, and this is something that, believe me, I've considered this, I've thought about it several times. I want to do this as accurately as possible, but my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Ah, good one.
The reasoning behind that, first of all, when I was a kid, you know, Harrison Ford was basically like the biggest hero in the world to me. I mean, between Indiana Jones and Han Solo, you know, I just thought the guy was great. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, to me, I think it's his best role. I think he's terrific in it. I think the movie itself was great. I think an action movie, it's great. I think it redefined how we look at action movies. And let's face it, you know, there were so many films that came out after Raiders of the Lost Ark that were basically emulating Raiders of the Lost Ark and kind of, you know, just trying to copy that formula. So, yeah, I just love the film. I love everything about it. I love the way that Spielberg directed it. I think Karen Allen is terrific. I've had the opportunity, thankfully, to meet several of the people who were in that film and that worked on that film, and I have not met Spielberg yet, so he's on my bucket list. But yeah, that's probably my favorite movie, just for a variety of reasons. I just think it's terrific. I think it really holds up, and I think the fact that it's a period piece and that it's set back in the 30s, and the way that it's shot, there's something about it in the way that it's shot and the setting that it's in, that it really does feel kind of timeless. Like, right. You can watch it today, it does not feel dated in any way whatsoever, and I think partly because it is a period piece. But there's just not a lot of movies you can say that about. You know, I mean, even great films like another really a good favorite of mine, celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, is Superman, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I love Superman, the movie, but let's face it, when you watch Superman, the movie now, it's really dated.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's stuff in that film that is kind of laughable at how dated it is.
Yeah.
But, that was just because it was a sign of the times. It was the late 1970s, clothing and hairstyles and things like that. A lot of that stuff was kind of unavoidable. But I do still love that film. I think it's a great film. I would say that those two are definitely up there, but I think, some of my other, like for comedies, like people always ask me, like, what are your favorite comedies?
Okay.
My two favorites would be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, good one, yeah.
I think Steve Martin and John Candy found comedy magic together. I mean, I think it is a rare comedy that is so funny, even today, yet there's really strong emotional content in that movie that still resonates today, and that I think everybody can kind of relate to in a way, to where it knows how to walk that fine balance of drama and comedy, and I think it does a really, really good job. And it's just such a fun film to watch. So I love that movie.
You could almost call that one of the original dramedies, as they say.
Well, I would credit that to John Hughes, because I think that John Hughes, even when you go back to something like The Breakfast Club
Absolutely.
or, 16 Candles, those types of films, I mean, a lot of his movies, they were very much comedies, but at the same time, they would have these strong emotional elements in them that would kind of hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah, they're all real poignant and real thoughtful, absolutely. Yeah.
And he was brilliant when it came to that. I also love Tommy Boy.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a movie that a really good friend of mine that I watched it with, we both loved the film so much, and we sat and watched it in my house, and we were so enamored with it that we watched it, and after it was over, we just put it on and we watched it a second time. A good friend of mine, Michael Turner, who was a very popular comic book artist, and sadly, Michael passed away in 2008, but it was one of those films that we both loved, and I think we just enjoyed, the experience of kind of sitting there and watching it together. And I mean, I missed the hell out of Chris Farley. I think Chris Farley was incredibly funny, and
absolutely,
that film is obviously his most perfect attempt at a comedy.
Well, and that David Spade, Chris Farley, that chemistry, man, it's just kind of unmatched. It's like John Bon Jovi, Richie Sambora good.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's a great fun film, and some of my other films that they're maybe a little lesser known, but like Glengarry Glen Ross, which is a David Mamet movie that was based on a play that he wrote. And it's all about salesmen, and it's because I spent a good year or so of my life being a salesman, and man, that's not a fun job to do that. And so that movie is kind of like, it is the perfect movie for salesmen to relate to, because it actually perfectly encapsulates what that life is like. Killer cast. I mean, Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin. I mean, all these really great people are in that movie. Like Alec Baldwin. Really terrific people are in there. It's just a really, really well-made film. So if you've never seen that movie, and then I also think, speaking of Alec Baldwin, there's another David Mamet film that he wrote but he didn't direct, but a movie called The Edge with him and Anthony Hopkins.
Yes, that's so good.
They get stuck up in the Canadian Rockies, and they're basically stalked by a grizzly bear. You have to, but there's more to it than that. Like, there's something going on that is kind of transcends that's even more sinister. And I think that film is a really. I love survival movies. I love movies about people kind of stuck in the wild and having to figure out, how to survive the situation that they're in. I think that is one of the greatest, just intense survival movies. It's one of the best performances that Anthony Hopkins has given in his career. It's one of the best performances Alec Baldwin's given in his career. So I think that's another film I always recommend to people. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's incredible. It's a film that, like, when I get to the end of it, I'll actually sit there and have kind of a good cry about life.
Right.
There's something about that film that really resonates with me on so many different levels. So yeah, I just love that. So those are a handful. Those are the ones that come to that I think of off the top of my head.
Well, that's good stuff, man. All right. Well, there you go. You heard it from Mark. All the good stuff, all the homework you need to do. If you haven't seen some of these films and if you aren't into these directors and actors, be sure and check them out. Again, we're doing Fanboy Friday. Mark Walters on the phone from Dallas, Texas. All right. Now, you did see that movie, Overboard. Let's go ahead and get into this before we get too late.
Yeah, Overboard is it's a new comedy that opens up this weekend, and it stars Eugenio Derbez and Anna Faris. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, and don't worry, don't feel bad if you don't know who Eugenio Derbez is. He's huge in Mexico.
Is so great. I'm sure a lot of people in this area will know who he is. But was it Batteries Not Included? Is that the movie?
Instructions Not Included.
Instructions Not Included. Yes, that's a totally different movie. Batteries Not Included. but man, I'm telling you what. And as a single father of a beautiful daughter, oh my Lord, that movie just. Oh, wow. Insane. That dude's amazing. And keep on going. But I just wanted to interject that because he's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, he's kind of got a good thing going as far as doing movies with kids, you know. And it's interesting because a lot of actors don't necessarily enjoy working with kids, or you hear a lot of horror stories about them working with kids. Because, you know, what people often forget is no matter how cute the kid is in the audition, they're still a kid. So when you get them on set and you're trying to get them to behave themselves and be professional, it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to. But, you know, he's got a really good thing going as far as when he makes his movies working with kids. He has a really good rapport with kids in films. Like his last movie, How to Be a Latin Lover, actually, you know, a big chunk of that movie is him, you know, kind of trying to relate to this kid, and he does a great job doing it in that film. And it certainly kind of ramps that up in this film, because in this film he's having to relate to multiple kids, and you know, again, he pulls it off very, very well. This is very much a play on the original film called Overboard, which came out in the '80s with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
Which I gotta say, man, what a great movie the original is, and basically, I mean, kind of a remake, but kind of like a gender swap, I guess, right?
Yeah, basically what they did, which I think it's very smart, you know, in this current climate that we're in terms of, you know, there's obviously a lot of sensitivity to things like misogyny or you know, women being objectified and things like that. And the original concept of the first movie was that Goldie Hawn's character was kind of this snobby rich person, and that character was this poor guy with kids. And she ends up getting amnesia, and he convinces her that they're together. And you know, in a way, sort of kidnaps her. You know, because he's convinced her that they are together. And some people might even say that he's sort of using her because of the fact that she has amnesia. Well, if you did that today,
right?
You tried to make that same movie today, I think you'd probably run into a lot of problems because, you know, people would look at it from a very specific point of view.
Absolutely.
What they did was they swapped the roles, and now Eugenio Derbez is playing the Goldie Hawn role. He's playing this, you know, kind of rich, snobby guy that, you know, lives on a yacht, you know, parties with women and all this stuff. And Anna Faris is playing a woman who has multiple jobs and is trying to take care of her kids. And so Eugenio Derbez's character ends up getting amnesia, and she ends up, you know, kind of tricking him into thinking that he is her husband. He's living this very modest life. And, of course, as you can probably assume, when it comes to comedies like this, you know, not only does hilarity ensue, but hopefully by the end of it, everybody learns a lesson. Mm-hmm. And but it's a fun film. It really is. They did a great job. As far as a remake goes, I would even say, and I mean, you know, some people may not be surprised by this. Some people might be surprised with this, but I would even say it's a better film than the original film. I think it's just in terms of the way that they made it and the way that it's as effective as it is. Because, I mean, I like that original movie. It's fun, but it's kind of a throwaway, disposable comedy. This one feels like it has more heart to it, more charm, and it feels really, really effective and really memorable. And I think a lot of that is based on the chemistry of the two main actors in the film. I think that they have such great chemistry together that it makes the film work on a level that, you know, maybe it otherwise wouldn't have. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And, you know, if you guys want to check out bigfanboy.com, I actually posted, I did an interview with Eugenio Derbez, and we talk about this film and kind of his approach to playing characters and whatnot. And so you can find that on bigfanboy.com. It's my second time to interview him. I was really happy to see him again. and I also want to kind of throw out a nice shout out to him, because on that interview, my mom, she had come and seen the movie with me when I went to the screening, and I brought her with me to the interview because she just wanted to watch and see what I do.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, yeah, I'll bring you with me to the interview. And he was so sweet. He was so nice to her, really kind of made her day, because, you know, she did want to meet him, but she didn't want to overstep her boundaries.
Right.
He just could not have been nicer. He was just such a sweet guy. He's everything that you want American actors to be, but unfortunately they're very often not. So I will say this, you know, Eugenio, if you ever hear this, you're a good dude, man. I really appreciate the way you treated my mom. So,
well, obviously he's a great guy, but I got to say this: it is just really cool to see Anna Faris kind of coming back out after kind of being chilled with old Chris Pratt for all those years, and I guess she kind of let him kind of, you know, he became huge over the last few years, and I guess, you know, they had a not so private breakup recently, so it's really cool to see her coming out and making people laugh again.
Yeah, you know, she's terrific in the film, and she very much does a great job of kind of carrying and leading this movie. And well, I don't want to say that. I mean, they both lead the movie together, but in terms of being the main actress in the film, she's terrific in terms of carrying that side of the movie. And also, you know, again, kind of like what we were talking about before about having movies that are sometimes dramedies. There are some really strong emotional moments in this movie, and she plays that very well, too. But, yeah, I think it's a good reminder just how good she can be. You know, she's been doing fine on that sitcom Mom that she has, but it's good to see her back on the big screen and just to know that, you know, she can still carry a comedy the way that she's doing with this film. And hopefully it means we'll see more movies with her, because I really like Anna Faris. I think she's a very funny... I think she's the you know, and I said this to Eugenio when we were talking, I think she's the modern-day equivalent of Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, absolutely.
This generation's Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they did a great job casting that. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see that one. I think it'll be a great one. And seeing that it's got a Latino in it might be a good, you know, appropriate Cinco de Mayo weekend movie. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great... This is a great family film. It's the kind of film you could easily take the whole family to and enjoy it. There's nothing too harsh or nothing too inappropriate in it. They did a great job of kind of balancing it and making it just kind of a good all-around comedy.
All right, again, that's Overboard, rated PG-13, in theaters today. One more time, professional Q&A moderator and speaker, film critic at bigfanboy.com, and the show director at Dallas Comic Show. Mark Walters, may the 4th be with you, man, always.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy, happy birthday. I'll catch you next week.
Thanks.